All right, guys. Our next guest is a UFC Hall of Famer, former heavyweight champion, and MMA icon. He joins us after getting back home from a pretty big adventure spanning all over the globe. El Guapo himself, Bas Rutten. Welcome back to Submission Radio, wearing a sexy T-shirt. Look at him there. Great to have you. Ah, very nice. I feel like we're in a Hall of Fame museum. When you put that on, it kind of means more for some reason. I don't know why.
We are all one. Okay, my cousin made that. My cousin, he really likes Genki Sudo, who used to be my student as well. And he made that big poster, "We are all one." Yeah. And my cousin started gathering like over 1,000 pictures on his Facebook page because he loves the message. So he made this T-shirt, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on. I'm going to show it. It's nice.
I like it. Can anyone get it anywhere else? Can anyone buy it, or is this just a Bas Rutten exclusive?
Well, no. Everybody can buy it, but they only have a few. And he just started with the company. We're setting it up right now on how to sell it on his website or whatever. We're gonna figure it out. But yeah, it's meant to be sold. So.
Nice. All right, watch this space then. Mac, welcome back to the show. You've had a crazy adventure. You were in Colorado, Long Island, Texas, Greece, all in one trip. Tell us about this adventure, man. What were we up to?
It was crazy. I did Colorado. I did the seminar with Duane Ludwig there, and there were some more guys, and Nick Hammers and Philip Verlinde. Some other guys were teaching as well. From there, I went to a retreat. I do a Catholic retreat with a bunch of buddies of mine. We do it like once or twice a year. It's a real fun thing. We go hunting, we do everything, and of course we talk about the faith. From there, I went to, where did I go? Oh, to Long Island. Long Island, I went to Greece. From Greece, I went back to Long Island, and Long Island was the professional fight league both times. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and that's where I'm going to go. I just came home on Friday. Saturday, watched the event, went to the Staples Center here in Los Angeles, and now I'm
so you were there live.
Professional Fighters League again. So, New Jersey.
Wow. Such a busy man. You mentioned Duane Ludwig. I just want to quickly bring him up because he put up a very, very fun photo on your Instagram of you guys from back in the day when you were hanging out. And he looked like a teenager, I want to say. He looked very, very young. And how long that relationship has been going on. Being there at the Staples Center and seeing TJ win the title and all the success that Duane's had, what did it sort of mean to you? And did you get a chance to hang out with him after the fight and sort of see him bask in the glory of the victory?
Yeah. Thankfully, I was sitting ringside. You're just out, and then I asked if I could escape through the tunnel, so I didn't have to go through all the to the normal people, because once people start making pictures, you're not gonna be out there for a long time. Yeah. So then I walked to the cage side, and they were still making pictures. And Duane, of course, called me inside right away. So there, I had the chance to go whoosh to TJ. Very important. We keep the structure in there. And to see Duane, of course, man. I mean, this is, for me, it's like I'm almost living my life through Duane. He's one of those guys that is the most decent guy I know. I know there's people with these stories. I always said this, and I said this for a long time. Well, 10 years ago, they asked me, what do you think of Duane? I said, well, if I would have had a son, I want him to be exactly like Duane. That's how much I believe Duane is a good person. He's just an amazing guy. And to see what he does with my system that I did, and then he started adding his stuff, and dude, he went to town on it, start switching stances, all these crazy distractions. And now look at TJ Dillashaw. Look what he did with the camp from Alpha Male before as well, right? And then, of course, TJ, because he started getting real success with Duane there. So when Duane left, of course, he said, this is the guy who made me. I gotta go with this guy. So that's why he left Team Alpha Male and went over there.
It's interesting because I was listening to Luke Thomas and Brad Okamoto speaking the other day, and they sort of spoke about how even though Cody Garbrandt's the younger guy, TJ Dillashaw made more improvements in this short amount of time. This fight was even more dominant, and it kind of speaks to how he made the right decision to sort of leave Team Alpha Male. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but he sort of went on his own journey, and he stuck with Duane Ludwig, and look at him now. He's the champion, whereas Cody Garbrandt, he's a little bit stuck in this position where he sort of can't leave Team Alpha Male. I mean, if you were in Cody's shoes, what would you sort of do? And do you think maybe if he does want to beat TJ in the future, he should sort of branch out and sort of explore a little bit?
No, I think with him personally, what I believe is the anger. I think anger always gets in the way, and anger makes you load up, and you saw he was doing that. He didn't punch from here, he did this. He started loading up because he's very angry. You just could see it. When he would flow, I would ask him the question, what did you when you fought Dominic Cruz? Were you angry? No, you weren't angry. And look what a performance you had. You see, so he's putting so much anger in that. And I think, it backfires for a fighter. I think anger controls everything. It makes everything negative. It doesn't make you fluid anymore. It doesn't, because you want to constant, you want to knock him out. And if you let it flow and just have fun, look at DJ. He walks in with a big smile on his face. He's so happy to be there. I met him like 10 years ago when Duane just started with him here at my gym. He was teaching a seminar here, Duane. And Duane already talked to me about him. He said, this kid is such an incredible athlete, Bas. You have no clue. Everything I say, he does all the time. He's always on time. He does everything. He improves every time. And like you said already, you see him improve every time. He's already at an elite level, but every time he gets better. And that's what you should do as a fighter. It's never good enough. It's like I always say, and I don't throw it in as a plug with an O2 trainer. I always say, there's no such thing as having too much stamina, and that's same as in fighting. There's no such thing as having enough technique. You can always grow, and there's always room for improvement. And he takes it to the heart, listens good, and boom, there you see the result.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. When you compare him to the TJ of the past, it's just a massive, massive transformation. Let's talk about some of the big news in the MMA world. While you were gone on the strip and away from the show, some big fights announced, Bas. Conor McGregor is officially fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov of the UFC 229. Give us your reaction now that this fight is official. How do you feel about this actually happening, and how do you feel about this fight coming together?
I love it. I love that Conor took this fight, because for Conor this is a very dangerous fight. And the reason I'm saying this is just look at the fight he had with Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes took him to the ground immediately. Well, Nurmagomedov is as good as a wrestler, maybe if not better. They're from Dagestan. They only got wrestlers. It's in their heart. It's in their it's everything. I mean, they grow up there. It's the culture. So, and this guy who never lost, we know Conor is the striker. He's the submission guy. He's also a striker, and he will have enough defense in order to take him down. If there comes a takedown, that could be big trouble for Conor McGregor. Now, I don't know what Conor has been doing in the meanwhile. But still, if you fight a guy whose father is one of the most famous trainers out there, and who started probably when he was 3 years old wrestling, you can't learn that in a year. Even if you train every day, yeah, you can stop some takedowns. But once the fight is there and punches have been throwing in, and little movements, little feints, it's very hard to stop the takedown. So for Conor to take this fight, for me, I think he has a puncher's chance. Now, the good thing for Conor is that he has incredible timing and incredible accuracy. So if he can land a punch, although Khabib has never been knocked out, but still, he's never been hit by McGregor. McGregor can hit really hard, as we know, because everybody he hits, he destroys. It's like they say in Rocky. It's simple. Thing he hits, he destroys. And so it's a big fight for him to stay away from the ground for 5 rounds. I look at the Nate Diaz fight as well. You see, once it goes to the ground. So it's a big chance he's taking, but I applaud him for it, because a lot of people thought that probably he was not going to take the fight since the guy is such a good wrestler and wants to take this fight to the ground.
It sounds like your prediction for this one is Khabib. Would I be accurate?
It would, if he doesn't get hit. Tell you the truth, I'm a huge Conor fan, but although I'm a huge Aldo fan, I thought he was going to have a lot of trouble with Aldo. Aldo, man, is an animal. Always said it. I always said he reminds me of Ramon Dekkers. The way he fights, everything is power, no jabs, no nothing, and then to just dismantle him and saying that before in the interview in the dressing room. Right, don't worry, guys, it's going to be a short fight. I'm going to get out within 30 seconds or within a minute, he said, and then he did it. You see, so if he can land a punch, and if there's a lot of pressure on Nurmagomedov, I mean, he cannot lose this fight. Everybody is going to be on top of him. He's going to make a killing in money as well. Everybody wants to fight Conor because of the pay-per-view deal. So that's a good thing for him as well. I don't know if it puts pressure on him. I don't think so. I think these guys from Dagestan, they just go, it's their job. It's if they go bookkeeping or they go fight, for them, it's pretty much the same. So, yeah, once it goes to the ground, I see trouble there for Conor. But if he can connect, if there's a stand-up, it's all about the connection. And if he connects, that could be a knockout coming from him.
It's interesting because you're a guy that's really improved your ground game when you needed to in your career. But looking at where Khabib is, I mean, he's an absolute master of grappling, wrestling, getting a guy down. He's probably the best in the game. Do you think, at the level that Conor McGregor's at, and I'm talking about probably the level that we last saw him at in his last few fights, do you think he could learn enough to even sort of avoid these situations if Khabib gets in the clinch with him, gets in the takedown with him? Is there anything he can do? Let's say he's been training, pretty hard over the last couple of months. Is there anything he can do? Is there anything he can learn between now and UFC 229 that would get him out of that predicament if Khabib got his hands on him?
Well, if they were smart, they kind of knew this fight was going to happen. So hopefully they knew this like 8 months in advance, because that was going. We knew that if he was going to take a fight, he was going to fight him. So if he then starts and his coaches, and you have like John Danaher or his coaches as well, but guys like that who are very smart submission guys, if they start picking out all the favorite things that Khabib would do, and just like pick 5 things that he always does since the first fight that he had and since the last fight, because it's in him. It becomes a habit, and once you find the defenses for that, yes. But if you're going to be a guy, I'm going to learn the defense for a triangle choke, a side choke, a rear naked choke, a disc choke, then because of the trees, you can't see the forest anymore. That's what they say in Holland. There's too many trees, and that's what I think is going down. But if you keep it simple and only that's a little gambles on the things that he mainly does and find reversals for that, or just a safe place so that there's going to be a stand-up, then yes. But it's very hard because once you're grappling and you get hit in the face, well, if you don't do that in the gym, that's a problem because that's an armbar. You see, it's little things like that make a huge difference. Just grappling or grappling with hitting, big difference. So I hope they grapple with hitting, with elbows, with everything. But normally they don't do that because elbows can cut you. And, in training, you don't want to get cut because otherwise you can't work out anymore. So it's a hard one, very hard one. If he keeps it simple, yes. But if he tries to find a solution for every submission attempt, that's not going to win.
What do you think of his grappling partner, Dylan Dennis, and I suppose coach as well, saying that he believes Conor McGregor could submit Khabib? What do you think when you hear something like that?
That I don't think. Now, well, the coach is really good, and I know that. I looked at the fight again against Nate Diaz. That's where I look. I look at the fight against Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes, though, I can give him a pass on because he knew that he probably was going to make him tired. He took the fight on 10 days' notice. So maybe he said, I'm just going to lay on the ground. I'm just going to defend and not doing anything. So we don't really the submission skills. But the only losses he had are by way of submission in mixed martial arts. So, with that said, then you look at the record, then you think, I don't know if that's an accurate move. Maybe it's a way to try to get in the head of Khabib. And you never know. Listen, we saw Anthony Pettis against Benson Henderson, right?
Yeah.
There's an armbar. He just received his black belt and he gets submitted with an armbar. So, if he doesn't expect it, if he thinks it's going to be a walkover, yeah, that's where it gets really dangerous for him because then he might leave an arm out or something out. But I don't see it happen. This guy, 25, 26 wins in a row now? So it's going to be very hard to beat him on the ground.
Yeah, and the fun thing is you've sort of got a potential fight lined up. Next, you got Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier. Not really sure what Nate Diaz is doing at the moment. He's sort of making it out like he may or may not fight Dustin. But assuming that fight does come together, who do you sort of have winning in that one? Do you think Nate potentially beats Dustin and then you get the trilogy fight with Conor McGregor? Or maybe you get Nate Diaz fighting for the title against Khabib? Or do you think maybe Dustin might ruin those plans?
Yeah, I think Poirier, man, I'm a huge fan of him as well. And he's a really incredible fighter. He's polished everywhere he is. That's why the diamond, If he's on. He's a great striker, great on the ground. He's got wrestling. He's got everything. So, with the Diaz brothers, they don't have knockout power. They have punches that will eventually lead you to a knockout because they punches and bunches. They throw a lot, and eventually, you're going to submit under it. But if you get countered with big, hard, powerful strikes, that could be it. And maybe set up a takedown. They're never going to expect you that you're going to take him down and then be on. As long as you stay in the guard or stay inside mode, half guard, whatever it is, there's not a lot that you can do. I know, listen, the Diaz brothers both are phenomenal on the ground, but everybody right now has their defenses ready and they know exactly what 2 arms in, 2 arms out. We know this by now. So it needs to be distraction. I think the guy on top has more submission possibilities, if he's of course not in the guard, than the person on the bottom. Or when the person in the guard, if he's not as well versed in submissions, that's a problem. But I don't see that with Poirier. I simply don't see it. The only thing The other thing I would say is that the Diaz brothers are known for having stamina to keep on pushing. So if he might run out of gas, yeah, everybody can get caught. I mean, we're looking at Dan Henderson versus Jake Shields all the way back. Everybody said nobody can take Dan down. Well, he was getting tired, and there was the takedown, and there he got submitted. You see, so it can happen. Fatigue makes cowards out of men, and fatigue takes technique away as well, because you don't want to spend a lot. So then there are chances that you're going to get caught. So if it goes into the later rounds, and if it's a main event fight, 5-round fight,
it's only 3. That's the interesting thing.
Oh, so that's a good thing for Poirier, because if he makes sure that he can go full blast for the 3 rounds, then it's going to be a very competitive fight. That I know for sure.
We spent some time with GSP a couple of days ago. He's in Australia doing a tour at the moment, and he's revealed to us that he is looking at potentially fighting the winner of Khabib and Conor McGregor, possibly in Toronto around December. Let me ask you, if you sort of...
155.
Well, yeah, he wants to go 155, and he's not sure whether the title's going to be involved or not, but if the title's involved, it would be better, but he's sort of looking at this as something fun for his legacy. I think it was one of the first times he really spoke about it. Let me ask you this. If you had to sort of choose who you'd rather see GSP fight in the super fight, what appeals to you most? A Conor McGregor GSP fight or the allure of a Khabib Nurmagomedov versus GSP? Which fight sort of stands out to you as the more exciting, more interesting fight to see?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a hard question, but it's because more exciting as all around it, as the feeling, the live up to it, of course, Conor McGregor. Right? I mean, you get the one-punch knockout. If he lands it, it's going to be over. And, but George is an incredible wrestler, so he will take that fight to the ground 100%. And I don't know if it's super going to be exciting. Now, if he fights Khabib and he takes Khabib down to the ground, it's going to be exciting, because he will do anything in his power to try to go for a reversal or to stand back up or, reverse. They go for submissions even. So the more exciting fight by itself would be against Khabib, I think. And the build-up and everything, if you talk about a fight like that and all the stress around it, that would be Conor McGregor.
Just want to switch topics a little bit. Obviously, Brock Lesnar is back in the UFC. Something that you predicted actually a while ago. I believe last year we spoke, and you said you believe Brock Lesnar is 100% coming back in 2017. Your prediction came true. A little bit off in terms of timing, but you did predict it. He is back, and it was pretty much for the reasons that you stated, the UFC needing stars and things like that. What do you think about him returning, though, to get an immediate title shot after all that controversy and obviously the failed drug tests and things like that?
Yeah, it's not honest. I wouldn't say it's he deserves it, but it is what it is. It's a fight that everybody wants to see, right? And I think he's going to face a guy who's going to beat him. I truly believe that DC is going to beat him. The guy is so tough. Only knockout loss was there was a high kick. We know that Brock is not going to throw a high kick knockout, and he doesn't have the tools to set him up with striking that John Jones had. Oh, by the way, tested positive for that fight. That's why, they overturned the whole thing. But still, he doesn't have that striking qualities. His most impressive work is power and his wrestling. And once he's on top, he's a very dangerous guy. But you're talking about a guy who's so hard to stop. Look what Velasquez did to Brock Lesnar. He's his training partner from DC. So I think that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to have to weather the storm early on in the fight, because Lesnar is incredibly strong and he does have technique. And then once he's on top, it's a very dangerous guy. But they will figure out how to weather the storm. And once it goes past round number 2, I think it's going to all play into DC's game. And I think he is going to stop him.
What do you think of Brock Lesnar and his legacy? Because obviously the PED thing with Mark Hunt sort of took some steam away from him. A lot of people are critical of Brock Lesnar because they believe he sort of got to the top quickly. And a lot of people are sort of, I suppose, pointing the finger at the fact that they believe he was on PEDs during his run. Where did he sort of rank to you as a champion in the sport, and what he did when he was sort of fighting full time?
Well, I think that when you get clipped for something for PEDs, it's one of those things that you think, is this if a guy gets caught, is it really the first time, right? I mean, look at him, how big he is. So it's probably not, you're thinking about that, and that might tarnish it. But for a guy to come in and only have a few fights and fighting for the title and then winning a title, I mean, people have to respect that, you know, and he didn't test positive for that fight. So he's a truly impressive guy. He really is. But I see as a big guy like that, once they start shying away from punches, you know, it doesn't look good as well. You know, I think if he would spend more time on mixed martial arts, go for 2 years, really get the striking under control so he's not shies away from punches anymore and actually goes in for an attack and don't push, but start punching with that strength that he has and explosive power, because he does have it. It's not like he has the slow twitch fibers. He's got the fast twitch fibers, so he's an explosive guy who can do it, but he just has to learn it. And I think once he would do that, yeah, then he could be really a force to reckon with. But I don't know, man, with all the everything around, still to pull off a heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC, I think it's pretty impressive, especially after such a short amount of fights. I mean, the 3 fights, his 4th fight was a world title, I don't know, but it was very close to that.
The other, by the way, Bas, we appreciate your time. We'll let you go in just a moment, but wanted to touch on this last fight, Darren Till versus Tyron Woodley. Obviously, Covington getting stripped of the interim belt, Darren Till being slotted in. Now he's the next challenger. But obviously, the controversy comes after he missed weight in his last fight. And so now you've got a guy who we don't really know if he can make the weight to make the title fight. And if he does, let's say hypothetically he beats Woodley, we don't know if he can continue to make the weight and keep defending the belt. So I guess, do you think it was a smart decision to put Darren Till in there? Do you think he deserves that shot? And sort of, do you think there should be harsher penalties for fighters who do miss weight? Because it seems like guys who miss weight, a lot of times the stats say they either win their fights, and in this case, they're rewarded.
I would make a special contract for this, right? You miss the fight, you're out of the UFC. That's what I would say if I was Dana or whoever writes the contracts. You know, it's the same when I would fight John Jones. I would say in the contract says if one poke in the eye, it needs a disqualification or a red card immediately. Like things that happen over time and time again, you should just be warned for. And then Darren Till is going to, if he's a smart guy, which he is, he's going to go, you know what, I'm going to make sure everything in my power, that's not going to happen, get a nutritionist to make sure that you're on weight way before the fight already. Try it out. You know, try it out like a month before if you can go to that weight. And once you can, stay on the same concept. Don't think that if that's an easy weight cut at the time, that it's going to be a walk in the park once you get close to the fight. Because once you get close to the fight, your muscles start working more. And once they start working more, they need to recoup. And once they recoup, they become heavier. They have to watch out for that. You know, so test it out, but then don't get confident. Make sure that you make the weight, because then you're going to be the world champion. Who doesn't want to fight for the world champion? Then again, for the Professional Fighters League, we were here, and this guy, Efrain Escudero, I believe it was.
Yep.
I believe it was. Lost weight by 8 pounds. These guys are fighting for $1 million, and he lost weight by 8 pounds. You see, so some guys don't have that thought, I guess. I mean, he can be the champion of the world. I'm pretty sure, pretty confident that he will come in on weight. And if he's not, well, then he doesn't deserve to be in a fighting organization. If I was the promoter, I would say if you don't make weight, you're out. Because that's going to ruin the whole card. That's it. All eyes are going to be on that card.
It's interesting because Joe Rogan was talking about this topic, and he said, and I want to ask you this as well, he said he believes coming in overweight could actually be worse than someone in PEDs because, for example, if you have 2 guys who weigh, for example, 130 pounds or something each, and one of them is on PEDs, there's an advantage. But if you have 2 guys and one guy is weighing in at 130 and one guy is weighing in at 160, he believes that weight advantage could almost be greater than if somebody was doing PEDs leading into the fight. He believes it's a big form of cheating. So I'm just wondering, from your perspective as a fighter and someone that's been in there with so many times, do you believe missing weight to the extent of a Darren Till? You know, Yoel Romero missed weight a couple of times. The statistics sort of show the fights don't go to people's way if someone sort of misses weight and comes in heavier. Do you believe it is sort of a form of cheating?
You know, yeah, it is a form of cheating, but then you can also throw it the other side, you know. If you come overweight and you're trying to weight cut and you try to your weight cut is going to be super stressful. You know, and then if you don't make it, super stressful. Yes, you have the more pounds, but is it going to work to your advantage? I mean, you beat the crap out of your body in the last few days. The body is not going to really accept that. They're not going to be happy. It's not going to be happy with it. Maybe it's going to underperform. Yes, he has more weight, but you have to have after a normal weight cut as well. Some guys, I heard the record one time with Chris Horodesky, 26 pounds he put on the next day. They said it was the highest number they've ever seen. It was in Chicago or something, I believe. It was an insane amount. So fighters, if you really know how to cut their weight and put it back on in a natural way, yeah, that's a problem. But I don't see that. If he really tried to cut those last, let's say, 5 pounds, and he did everything in his power to cut it, I think it works against him. I always said, and that was me at the time, especially with 2 pounds and 3 pounds, I would throw it the other way around. I would never say to the fighter, lose it. I would say, because that to me shows that I'm scared maybe of him. I would say, keep it. You're going to need those 3 pounds, because I think saying that has made more impact mentally than to let him lose those 3 pounds. But I'm talking 3 pounds. I'm not talking about 8 pounds or 10 pounds.
Just quickly, Bas, as we let you go, just want to get your thoughts on this Till Woodley fight. Who are you sort of leaning towards? Do you think that Darren Till sort of has the dangers and possesses the skills to potentially dethrone Tyron Woodley, who otherwise has been a very dominant champion thus far?
Yes, I truly believe he has. He's got that one-punch knockout power, beating Cerrone. I mean, that was already incredible. I'm a huge Cerrone fan as well. So for Darren Till to come in to do that, that was really impressive. He had some really great battles as well. But, I think Tyron Woodley is one of the most gifted athletes also that we have in the UFC. If he just lets it fly, if he uses his skill that God gave him and just let it fly and don't be worried about getting a counter hit or something that happens. I mean, he knocked out Robbie Lawler. I mean, think about that. If you look at that, if he just lets it go and fights with no pressure, I see a very dangerous Tyron Woodley. But, if he tries to play it safe, most of the time when you play it safe, you will get hit. I use always the example. I fought Vernon Tiger White all the way back in, that was 94, 95 in Japan. And the day before I went on the plane to go to Japan, I thought it was smart for me to go a little jogging instead of sparring. Idiot that I start go running in the forest and I twist my ankle, right? So I'm falling on the ground. I'm laying there for like 30 minutes. I go, I got to go home. I got to figure this out, what I'm going to do. My ankle was swollen. And trust me, when I came in, I was acting, nobody would see that my ankle was hurt. In the fight, the first thing, and I told nobody. Nobody knew. My manager knew. Nobody knew for the rest. And he dove at my leg and he tried to toe hold on that foot.
Whoa.
I think that, if you're worried for something, you're going to get it. It's like you're sending out a signal unknowingly to the brain of the other person. You say, hey, wait a minute, go for that. Because it's really weird. If you don't want it to happen, it happens. It's a thing that always happens. I always go back also when I was diving from boards. I like to make somersaults and I'll do all that crazy stuff. And I always, when people would fall flat, they would go home and then the next day, but then they were scared. So if I would fall flat, I would immediately go back up and I would do the same thing again. And if I would fall flat again, I would immediately go up and do the same thing again. You have to break that spell, so to say, because once you're afraid of it, it will happen. And that's the same thing here. If you're afraid to get knocked out, you're probably going to get knocked out.
Well, I hope none of us win the lottery this week. Bas, thank you so much for your time. Guys, make sure to pick up, of course, Bas' CBD oil and O2 Train. You can go to receptornaturals.com, Bas /Bas Rutten to grab your Bas CBD oil, O2trainer.com. Get fit for summer here in Australia with the O2 Trainer. We've seen some amazing stuff. And, of course, Twitter and Instagram, Bas Rutten MMA. Bas, of course, the PFL. Anything else coming up that you want to let the fans know about that they need to keep an eye open for?
No, for now, I'm not going to say anything. I say in November, I'm going to come out with a surprise. And I think a lot of people are going to really like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun thing. I'm really looking forward to that. That's why I don't want to say anything about it yet, because I want it to really happen, because it's a really cool thing. So next week, the PFL in New Jersey. We go to New Jersey, and we're going to have a lot of fun. These guys, man, they're getting very close now. There's fighters fighting each other with 0 points. Yeah. And that means in order for them to make the playoffs, they're really going to have to fight. And like we saw, they're slaughtering each other. So the fans are in for a treat. Watch this show. It's on Facebook Live, and then afterwards we go on NBCSN.
Nice.
Awesome.
We can't wait. We got to get you back in November as well, obviously, to talk about your big surprise. Once you unveil it, man.
I'll come on with you guys for sure. You guys are gonna really like it too much. It's when I got it, I go, okay, this is made for me. I think I got to be involved in this thing. So, yeah, But now you really want to know what it is. I'm not going to say it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bas. Have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us. It's always an honor to have you on the program.
You're welcome. Godspeed.
Godspeed. Bye-bye.